Welcome to Inspired Design Notes. In preparation for any design, the first thing you need to do is style all of your materials. And that refers to taking the materials and bending out the branches, shaping your flowers, and getting everything prepared to go in the design so it looks very natural. In doing holiday designs, many times you'll be starting with a pre-made base, which could be a crescent, garland, centerpiece, many different types of materials that are made out of PVC, which is like these evergreens. They come in to keep them nice and tight in the containers. They're very flat, so they fit well into the boxes. But this leaves no depth in your designs if you don't style them out. So to take this one, for instance, this is a crescent-shaped swag that would typically be used over a doorway or window, but it also makes a wonderful centerpiece. You'll find on most of the backs of them that they've got a central core where everything's bound together. So the first thing to do is to shape that to the way you need it for the design you're doing. So if it was going over a doorway, you would want to bend it to fit over the door into more of a crescent. And if we're going to use it for a centerpiece, of course we'd want to take that and bend it out straight so that you've got a nice straight line that would go down the center of your table. And straightening this part out here. Then to give the design depth, you need to take your materials and bend them upwards, creating a lot of depth from the top to the bottom of it. So we'll take the cones and move these to the position you'd want them in for a centerpiece, which would be opposite each other. If it were for a doorway, you would bend them more straight down the way gravity would help them hang. So we'll do this, and then just start taking the materials and bending them upwards and out to create that nice depth. The one thing you can't be is afraid of your materials. They're artificial, they're not fresh flowers, so you can't hurt them. If for some reason you accidentally broke something or pulled it apart, you just can wire it back together or use a little hot glue to put the pieces back in. But you've just really got to get in and control the materials and make them go where you want them to go. So now we can take this and set it down on the table, and you can kind of see how we've got lots of nice heights going here, and the materials are stretched out and styled into that two-pointed oval that you would use on a table. This is actually created as a centerpiece. You can see on the back it's got this little wire stand with feet on it, so it sets easily. And then in the middle of it, this one is also created with some candle cups in there that you can put tapers into. You can use those or not, depending on the design that you're doing. But again, you just need to take and bend all of the pieces upwards, giving it that depth. And take your little branches like these and bend them into shape so that they kind of add a lot of airiness to the design. And then this will be ready to go when you want to create your design. We've also got some berries here to work with, and they typically, most of your stems will come in very straight, everything in a single line, and you just need to bend them out, shape them so that they have more depth, a lot more space, and they'll also fill in your designs much better if they look bigger and have more depth and space involved in them. You can create the stems, give them some curves, gently bend them, just remembering that things don't tend to grow at 90-degree angles, so you don't want any straight corners on your materials, but wonderful kind of quirky little curves and things are great. Mother Nature is truly your best teacher, so if you're not sure about how plant materials looks, if you just take a wander through the garden, you can get an idea of what it should look like. So we can do the same thing with this berry stem, and again you can see it's not quite as straight as the last one, but again you can bend the stems out and get a very full look to it, again kind of twisting and turning and creating lots of interest to it. Again, much the way the centerpieces were, there are lots of wonderful pre-mades that are coming in now, which means it's pre-made for you. A lot of the work's already been done, but you can always shape them out and get a lot more to them if you'll just bend the little branches out and open them up so the flowers have their own space. And oftentimes you'll find that they're created in a triangular form, which gives you kind of an overall round shape, which makes them ideal for creating designs because you can then work them together in one and come up with a round form design very easily. So we could do the same thing to this one. It's got some fabulous little rose leaves on it. This is part of our new Jane Seymour line from Windward that is just a fabulous line, lots of wonderful different materials and kind of some English garden flowers mixed in that are just perfect for your holiday designs. Then also with your flower stems, again, Mother Nature or even a book on flowers is a great place to see what to do with these. But they'll come in the box and they often have these funny little corners to them. You want to straighten that part out and then gently give the flowers some curves. You'll see with this one that this one's actually been tied together, and we can simply open that up and now we've got 3 stems of flowers to work with, and we can then take and easily shape the stems, again putting some nice curves into them so that they'll fill out your designs beautifully. And lastly, this is a wonderful stem of the Japanese anemones. As you can see, all the leaves are flat, and we want to just bend them straight out the way you would see on a plant, which this is rather shaped like. All the stems come from the base. We'll pull those rather unnatural straight curves there in, out. So now it has a very upright feel to it, and then you could come in if you want to add a little bit more interest to it and shape some of your stems and give them some nice curves. So just remember, don't let your flowers control you. You need to control them so that they'll work well in your designs. And thank you for joining us for Inspired Design Notes. We hope you'll visit again soon.